I'm using venture plan. Am I going to comment on the Blizz news or positive vibes here only? I mean, that's just like super upsetting. Yeah. I imagine we'll end up talking about it quite a bit, but yeah, it's like super upsetting. Really sad to hear that people had to go through that kind of stuff. And like the thing is, it's like we learn more and more that kind of stuff is really, really prevalent, even in companies that we put a lot of belief in, like Blizzard. So it's like super disappointing, super upsetting, and hopefully it helps make the culture different, where people, you know, stand up a little bit more firmly against that. Well, not a little bit, so like a lot more firmly up against that kind of stuff, so that it doesn't happen anymore. And then people who think about being creeps are like, well, won't be able to get away with it, so I better not do it, you know? But yeah, definitely. People ask about it, can you link an article about it? I don't know if I just want to like link the article a bunch today. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I don't know. It's not hard to find, but I don't know if I just want to like be spamming it today. But yeah, I mean, it's like super upsetting, man. Oh, I see. Grizzled, that's what happened. Yeah. Yeah. It's unfortunately seems like it's probably pretty common. I mean, just in general, not just in the gaming community. I was gonna say in the gaming community, but it's probably just like in general. Just people are creeps everywhere, man. It's not limited to any one field or any one, you know, like community. People are just creeps, and it's pretty prevalent, unfortunately. But what's important about these moments is that we support people who had to, you know, like deal with it, people who are, you know, had people being creeps to them, and that we support just, you know, fair employment and like advancement opportunities for women, because there's like the whole sexual assault, sexual misconduct, and sexual like harassment outside of it, but there's also just the side of it, it's like women aren't being given fair chances to succeed despite kicking ass at what they're doing, or just despite anything. Like they just aren't being treated fairly. So we've got to be better. And even at companies that are like supposed to be like the, you know, the standard of like how to interact with each other and how to run the, you know, run their business. It's like even in companies like that, potentially even especially companies like that, this kind of stuff's happening. So it's like we got to be better, team. Talked about this, unfortunately, relatively often. It's like I think Aya said it well. It's like it's not hard. It's pretty easy to not sexually harass your coworkers. Like, and I've said it many times before, don't be a creep. Just be good to each other. But it is important that this kind of stuff is, you know, talked about. It's important that it's brought to light, but it's super important that it doesn't happen anymore. So yeah, man, it's a big bummer. Really upsetting. I talked about it first thing in the morning. Haven't even woke up yet, but yeah, definitely, man. Can't have it. Do that. Though I'm sure we talk about it a lot today, but yeah, definitely. No, you're gonna get dogpiled for this, but these words are kind of hollow when you play their game. Yo, I mean, I understand. I understand that that's gonna be a viewpoint. The thing is, like, the people who I know at Blizzard are wonderful people, and I don't think that the company needs to be burned to the ground, but I do think that we need to take a good look at how we do stuff. I mean, I say we, I don't work for Blizzard, but like as a gaming community, as a world, as a human community, we need to take a look at what's going on and like be better. But no, I don't really feel like I just want to burn everything to the ground, but at the same time, it's like people who are accountable need to be held accountable, and they need to get rid of those people who are doing this stuff or letting it happen. And gotta change the culture, man. But sure, yeah, sure. If you want to say I'm not playing any Blizzard games, go for it. That's fine. But the people that I know and am friends with who work for WoW, I don't want them to have to, you know, just like have their livelihood taken away because somebody else was a creep in their company. But at the same time, no, it's something to consider, and I'll think on it for sure. And I will think on it. Definitely. I will think on it. Yep. For sure. But I'm just starting my day. I think this will pack well. We'll see. We'll see. Yep. I'm sure we'll talk about it all day today. But yeah, very, very upsetting stuff. My heart really hurts for hearing about people who had to deal with that kind of crap. So, yep. Yep. But I mean, who knows? If some good can come out of it, that's kind of my hope, right? It's like, the more, like, it really sucks to hear about this stuff. It's really upsetting, but the more that it's brought to light, just like we talked about, like, you know, I feel like the last time all this stuff was, like, the last, like, big upheaval is, like, the more it's brought to light, hopefully, the less it can happen in the future. And it sucks to hear about it, but it's like, it needs to be talked about to make things better and to, you know, recognize the experience and the trauma of people who had to, you know, sort of suffer from this kind of behavior from people, man. It sucks. But I mean, I don't, it's tough to know exactly, you know,
what can I do?
What to say beyond just like, don't be a creep. It's not that hard. Just, and like, don't drink if you turn into a fucking demon, right? Like, don't drink. Let's see. Seems like alcohol is just like such like a root of all this, of a lot of this crap. I don't know. There's a lot of different layers to it, but it's so simple. It's just be good to each other, man. And if you're in an environment where that's not taking place, you know, try to change your environment the best you can. But I also understand a lot. If people were like leaving the company because of that and stuff, I mean, I get it, man. But I don't know. At the same time, I don't like. I personally, like, you know, I'm not sure if I just want to just completely abandon all the people who are doing good work at Blizzard and the games that I love just because of that. But it's something to consider for sure. Definitely. Yep. It's something to consider. Is like, how do I feel about, is me playing Blizzard games somehow like letting that be a thing, right? So I gotta think about it for sure. At this point, I'm kind of just logging in, doing my thing, working on things that are important to me in my gaming world. We'll go from there. But yeah, some people should drink, absolutely. Everybody could not drink, and that would be fine too. Fine by me, but I'm not in charge of that, and that's not necessarily how I feel. But I wouldn't be like, if people were like, you know what, as a human society, I think alcohol is not helpful to anybody. I think we're gonna let that ride. Like, sure, no problem.
Do you feel them more?
But like, yeah, especially if, like, you know, you can't. But the thing is, like, if somebody like has a problem with drinking and they sort of can't control their behavior while they're drinking, you can't like make them not do it. But alcohol is not, oh, it's just an alcohol thing. No, I'm just saying, it's just another factor. It's just like, it's so much like, ugh, it's grody stuff. Like if you know, I don't know. I don't think the entire company's culture is based around drinking and doing stupid stuff. But if there is even like a group of people in the company that is drinking and doing stupid stuff at work, it's like, what are you doing? Completely unacceptable. And if they're drinking and doing stupid stuff outside of work and harassing people, it's like that's also unacceptable. There's just a lot of crap to it. A lot of layers, and it's just overall like super upsetting, yeah. For sure. Want me to put you on the spot there? No, I mean, we're gonna talk about it today. I'm just waking up, man. We're gonna non-stop talk about it today. I mean, I am somebody who loves Blizzard games. Plays a lot of them. Like to think of myself in some way as part of the Blizzard gaming community. And this affects us, man. It's like, this hurts. We trust and love Blizzard, and we trust that it's a company that not only makes cool games, but is a safe place for people to work, and is a fair place for people to work. And when you hear that, you know, this is happening, it's like super sad, super upsetting, right? So we're just getting started for the day, just waking up for the day. But yeah, it's something that we gotta acknowledge and talk about, man. Let's see. Is it here? I don't know, I've never gotten this thing before. It's kind of cool. Happened with Blizzard? A lawsuit about like sexual harassment and sort of trying to figure out the right word. It's just like unfair business practices towards women, like not allowing them to like progress in the company despite, you know, having the qualifications and work history of earning that sort of thing and being passed over for promotions, that kind of stuff. Just the kind of crap that just cannot, you know, be a thing anymore. Unfortunately, is still a thing. And what sucks is that it exists, but what's good about moments like this is it, like, this kind of stuff, like, it does not have to happen in order for change to be made, but it certainly can be a catalyst where it's like, okay, so things aren't changing on their own, so now we have to say, listen, here is like an official legal movement against you for these things. One, that you're gonna have to account for. Two, that you need to change in the future. And sometimes it's like not gonna happen unless you really lay it out, you know. So hopefully, yeah. I guess we might. I don't know if I really even want to chat command for it, right? You can't add commands anyway. The way that stuff works is the way that the commands work with stream elements is different. Yeah. Okay. But yeah. No, we're gonna be talking about it a fair amount today, I imagine. That's fine. Like I said, as someone who plays like World of Warcraft a ton, you know, and has worked with Blizz in the past, you know, it's kind of in our wheelhouse. I mean, fortunately, like, me and Jenny have never experienced anything like that. But doesn't mean it doesn't happen, right? But no, I really love the people that we have met and have been friends with and worked with from Blizzard, and I really don't want people to be mean to them, you know? Like, I know people might come in, like, here and, you know, like, the one guy was saying that, you know, the commentary about this situation doesn't really feel right to him with me continuing to play WoW, and that's like a fine way to phrase it. And that sure, that's fine. Some people are actually gonna like rage, right? And that's gonna happen to anybody really involved with WoW, because that's kind of what happens in general. Is people just like freak out at anybody loosely related to something, because they had a bad day or something like that. They got to get some aggression out or something. But yeah, I really don't want people who work at Blizzard to like have to suffer unduly for this. Have nothing to do with it. But I mean, at the same time, the culture has to change, right? And if there are situations where this kind of stuff was going on and it wasn't, you know, dealt with, then it needs to be. And those kind of decisions, you know, need to be held accountable for that kind of stuff, right? And I mean, this is all very reminiscent of, you know, it happens all the time. Like, unfortunately, it still happens all the time, but it happens often where you hear about people, not just in the gaming community, but that's kind of where my sort of, the gaming community is kind of my community, where this will happen and people are like, yo, this dude or person has been not a good person for a while, and it's sort of brought to light, and you're like, well, crap, like, we have to, gotta be better, gotta reorganize, you know, the way that we think. We gotta adjust our behavior and really be aware and look out for this to protect people and to not let this happen. And I like to think that people do that, and that, I mean, that kind of stuff has never been acceptable to me. And fortunately, I don't think I'm in a situation where like I have to like stand up against it very often. But at the same time, sometimes it's not as overt as someone being sexually harassed, and you're like, oh god, like in the moment, like stop doing that. But sometimes it's like you have to change your perspectives, right? It's a little bit more subtle. Like, are we making sure that women actually are being given a fair chance at job opportunities and things like that? And I say we, and I'm talking about like us as a society, but still, like, you can, there's all kinds of different opportunities to examine your beliefs and examine your prejudice and whatnot. But like, the thing is, it's like it just what I'm talking about is it just reminds me of fairly recently with like the management company that we were a part of just collapsed because of, you know, sort of like misbehavior by the CEO, and then we have members of our gaming community who we know and love and trust, who, you know, like, information comes out about them and the way that they behave and have treated people, and that just like really shocks you and throws you off. And but as uncomfortable as it is, it needs to, this kind of stuff needs to come to light so that it stops happening. So just kind of where we're at, man. Not shying away from it. It's just part of our community, man. And it's like 5 in the morning, but we'll talk about it. Yeah. I mean, I feel like, you know, Method had to deal with this a lot, right? Like, they messed up, man. Like, their main dude was being a creep, and they had to clear out, and they had to adjust their culture, and they had to take a good look at the way they're doing things and make sure that doesn't happen like that again, right? And they've been able to rebuild a bit, right? And I think that's what's gonna happen with Blizzard. The good news is that the people that I know who work for Blizzard are very passionate, brilliant people. And if that passion and brilliance was sort of being dampened by the fact that some people were just there to party and sort of leverage their position to take advantage of people, get those fuckers out of there so that people who are brilliant and passionate can get to work on doing the really good stuff that they want to do and are capable of. I don't know if that's really like the right attitude to have, like right now, where it's like, ooh, the company can get better. But I think that I do want to look at some bright side. But I want to do this without acknowledging or diminishing the importance of like the experience of people who had to suffer through that kind of like abuse, right? And suffer through not being able to, you know, being passed over for promotions, because that not only does that affect you, like, you know, with your career, but it also affects like you and your, like, how you feel about yourself and your confidence. Because if you are doing all the work that is required to get a promotion and then you're passed over, like, that makes you feel bad about yourself, like, if you're not careful, right? And even if you are careful, even if you realize, like, okay, this is not fair, this is not my fault, like, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. But yeah, then if you're being told that you're not good enough despite that, that really sucks. So there's like the super like obvious, like, you know, somebody is being a creep to you, making advances to you, or trying to leverage their power over you in a way that's like, you know, sexual misconduct, and that's not good, and that's obviously like super like, this is messed up. But there's also like the other factor where it's like, you know, even just like subtle things can really bother, it can really mess with somebody, right? And like the rest of their career can affect them, you know? Maybe it makes them like less willing to go after stuff, you know, makes them less willing to really go the extra mile on projects, because it's not going to be, you know, that extension isn't rewarded, right? So the whole thing is this framework just can't continue, right? So it's up to the people who care, and it's up to the people who really want things to be better to find a way to make that happen. And it's up to the people, I mean, people who are trying to use their position to take advantage of people need to realize that that shit is not going to fly anywhere. And so cut it out. Hopefully, I don't know. I do believe there's some good that can come of this. And I don't think that Blizzard needs to be burned to the ground. But I mean, it depends. If this kind of stuff, I mean, we might hear more about it as time goes on, you know, to see, you know, how high up it went and how high up it was let ride and what's been done since. But I mean, hopefully the people who are contributing to that kind of culture, you know, clean them out, man. And Josh, thanks for 2 months, man. Big flex for you. Appreciate it, dude. Thank you, man. Thank you. Most streamers are avoiding like the plague. I kind of doubt that would be the case. I mean, I don't know how you cannot talk about it. I think it's important to talk about it. So, things like this are going to force a structure change like it did in Riot. Yeah, I didn't really follow up a ton on what Riot has done, but yeah, I mean, like, I would imagine that Riot has had to, I mean, really change things up too, man. And you have to, and it's not just for show either. It's not just to kind of clean up your image. It's like, be better, you know. And we always have opportunities to be better, but situations like this sort of provide you like a glaringly obvious, clear thing. It's like, this is a huge problem. We always have a lot of things to work on to be better. This shit is not gonna fly. Like, it cannot, you know. So I do still have a lot of faith in Blizzard that they can be better, but I mean, if there are like, once again, I don't want it to be like, it's like, yay, we can make better games now, but it's like that is part of it, because it's like, if this attitude was prevalent in Blizzard and people were dicking around, drinking at work and spending time like abusing their employees and coworkers, like, get those people out so people who are passionate can do the work. You know? So this could just be that kind of breaking point where it's like something wasn't quite right at the company for a while, perhaps. And this is going to be sort of serious enough upheaval where it's like all this stuff where people are like, this isn't right. But I don't know what the right move is here. Now this can be one of those times where it's like, yeah, we got to change the culture. These kind of scum people got to go, and everybody else wants to get work done. Now's the time. So it could be kind of like the turning point, but we'll see. Because I'm not the kind of person that spends a lot of time being like, oh, Blizzard's down in the dumps. You know, Blizzard's, you know, doing all this, you know, bad stuff for the games as a company. But like, I don't really feel that way. But I can recognize that if you have that kind of like cancer within your company, get it out, and things can probably get a lot better too, right? So we'll see. We'll see. Sure, it's not so bad, right? Who knows? Hope not. Hope it's better, but we'll see. And if it needs to happen again, then we'll keep making changes. Ideally, right? I say we. I mean, like you know. Once again, I do it a lot. I'm speaking as like us as a community, as a people. But I don't know. Vice, thanks for 91 months, man. Big flex for you. It is up to the, you know, you gotta actually make changes, right? So the investigation has been going on for 2 years now, so it's been happening longer than that, clearly. Oh, absolutely, yeah. I don't think it's like a new investigation just popped up. Like, you probably are hearing about it now because they have enough evidence to actually like levy the claims. That's the sad. That's like what makes it even worse. Is it's not like there was one instance over the weekend where somebody was sexually harassed, and now like they're being sued for it. It's like, yeah, this has been going on for a long time. You know what I mean? Yep. Yep. And it sucks that it's been going on this long, but it's like this culture, unfortunately, upsettingly, is like a part of a lot of different companies and groups, like. And it has to go. And so it's like our responsibility as a gaming community and to, like, you know, look out for each other, man. And hopefully these, you know, like Blizzard, I do have faith that Blizzard will like follow suit and really clear things out. But it sounds like some people who were involved in that kind of stuff just kind of like slipped out, you know? They just kind of had a quiet exit from the company. So, not sure what that's been like. What's gonna happen with that, I should say. How's New World been? Really fun. Gotta play more of it too. Yep. Yeah, that's just like heartrending, Jazo. Yeah. Okay. Let's go do some dailies. Yeah, we talked about it today, I imagine, for sure. For sure. You know, somebody in the WoW community, a lot of us like Blizzard games. I mean, it affects us, right? It's really, really upsetting to hear that, right? But I keep doing this Korthia method, but yeah, we'll see. Yeah. It's been going on for a while in a lot of different, you know, companies and communities. This is not something that's isolated to the gaming community or isolated to Blizzard or Riot or whatever, right? It's just like people are not being treated right. And so we as humanity and society need to look out for each other better, but at the same time recognize members of our community that are being treated unfairly and step up our efforts to have, you know, to listen and to be aware and to change our behavior and our beliefs, whether it's different ethnicities, you know, different orientations, you know, we gotta look out for each other better, man. And we can, and it like I don't necessarily believe that these big upheavals need to happen. Like, well, I should say, it needs to be brought to light, for sure. But I don't think that we have to wait until, like, a lawsuit is levied to be better, is kind of what I'm thinking, right? You know what I mean? We can just go ahead and look out for each other just right now. Just doesn't need to be a lawsuit first, but when it does happen, and it is so glaringly obvious, right, this kind of stuff is brought to light, it affords us, like, an undeniable opportunity to be better, right? So, I think that's what can come of this, but yeah, it is really upsetting, and I'm with you guys, man. It sucks. But, yeah, it is pretty easy. It's like I said, I was gonna, like I haven't made like a Twitter statement about it yet, but it's like it's really easy to not be a freaking creep, right? It's really easy to not sexually harass people, right? So, I don't know. Just be better, man. But we'll, I mean, I think that we'll see some changes, hopefully. And people who are contributing to this kind of thing will hopefully be gone. So people who are doing the good work and being good people can get back to work and hopefully work on restoring Blizz to what it's supposed to be, man, which is a place where voices are heard and, you know, people are respected and sick stories are developed and whatnot. But, you know, do the good work, do the creative, inspiring work, and leave all the, you know, actually, like, have that be your culture. Because I think that is, like, what Blizzard actually is, but, you know, this kind of stuff can fester and grow. So, this is an opportunity for us to get rid of that crap. So we'll see. We'll see. Just hope that everyone that had things happen to them come forward without any repercussions. Yeah. And that it takes, we talked about this before, it takes a lot of courage to talk about that kind of stuff, man. Because it's like, I mean, fortunately for me, thankfully, I have never sort of suffered like any kind of like abuse like that. But I can definitely imagine the type of courage it takes to sort of relive that trauma by talking about it and making yourself vulnerable to like criticism, right? So then if the people who suffered through that are willing to step forward and sort of demonstrate that courage, then it's kind of important. Oh, it's super important to make sure that that wasn't done in vain, right? To listen to them, to be sympathetic to them, and to rally behind them to make sure that doesn't happen to anybody else, right? So, yeah. Yeah, it's cool. It's a cool set. Especially Expected Father Baby Girl. Yep. Yep. Hopefully by the time your little one grows up, you know, we're that much better, you know? But yeah, I mean, women, I mean, like it or not, women really have a tough time, man. It is a setup that is not fair to women. It's fortunately, it's all a setup that is unfair to a lot of people. And I think that's one of the things that we can continue to work on as a culture and as a society, to try to be aware of the situations that are sort of built out of unfairness and try to find a way to make it different so that people actually do have a fair shot at succeeding at their job, or, you know, being treated with respect, right? That's how it is, man. Anybody got comments on the horizon? Not in the short term, but in the future, yeah. I'm finishing out my little mini cut phase at the end of this month, and then we'll start adding some calories back in and start trying to make some gains. But I do want to compete again, but probably not like just in the immediate future right now. I just want to take time to build muscle, and you know, with the pandemic and all. No, ooh, nice. So I think it's people who are victims are afraid to come forward because they're afraid of how it will affect their careers. Yeah. And that's insane too, isn't it? Affect anything, right? It's just like, but yeah, it's true. Because sometimes, you know, like we talked about it before, when stories of mistreatment were coming out, is that people are like, you know, that it makes like no sense, but there's actually ridicule involved. People will give you a hard time for talking about that kind of stuff. But there are just some like really messed up people in the world. And so once again, opportunities like this sort of allow us to see what's going on, but it also allows us to see, like, you know, who is a piece of crap, you know? So. Because if you're giving people a hard time for sharing their stories, You are not being helpful to making things better, right? Yeah. I mean, I think that is kind of inherent in our community anyway, Leash, right? Just be good to one another, man. So it's a big bummer, and like I said, I imagine we'll be talking about it quite a bit today, but that's kind of where I'm at with it, man. Disappointed, upset, but still hopeful that the courage of the people who are willing to speak out about it and the efforts of those people to, you know, work on, you know, this lawsuit and get the information out there so people know, you know, make sure that that's not done in vain, right? Because I mean, I appreciate it. I want people who are going through stuff like this to be able to share that, so that people like myself, people like all of us, can rally behind them and be like, hey, you're not alone. Like, we are not cool with this. Like, how can we help, right? And so that we can make sure that in general this kind of stuff can't happen anymore. Change the culture of the gaming community, you know? Because like there is that like kind of what I would interpret as like half joking like gamer stereotype where, you know, and it's you know, it's starts from like a little like on the playground where like girls can't play sports or girls can't play games, or, you know, you give girls a hard time for stuff like that, and it's just like, you just gotta let that go, man. That just can't be part of the deal anymore. And if you actually feel that way, you gotta re-examine. And if you don't feel that way and you're just joking about it, you just gotta let it go. That's just not a good way to be. Because even that kind of like casual disrespect can sort of leverage itself like slowly, sneakily into an attitude where this kind of stuff is okay, right? And it's not like sexual assault is okay, but it's like you don't recognize like a situation where a woman is like, you know, not taken seriously in like a discussion that you're having about like what's the best step forward for like a project. It's like, and those little things, those like subtle sort of social events can sort of end up contributing to an environment where you know, bad stuff can happen, right? So that's what I'm talking about. We need to like really take a look at how we do things and how we interact with people and be better. Thank you, Silent, for the 7 months, man. Big flex for you. Appreciate it, man. Thank you, dude. It's more of the higher ups. I don't think all the employees... I think the employees ought to be that douche. No, they're not. I know for a fact they're not. But yeah, I mean, I feel like some people will get in a position where they start to leverage their position on people to, you know, be a creep. Can't have that, man. Cannot. And that's just like no place to get any work done either. People are being jackasses all the time, right? I don't think that they are all the time either, but I don't know the internal workings of the culture at Blizzard. I think that when I've like visited Blizzard HQ or talked and hung out with the people who work there, I'm absolutely not getting the full picture, right? But that has not been my experience. Like, obviously, I'm not there at Blizzard where people are having these, you know, drunken escapades. But no, I definitely don't think it's the entire company. It's just this style. But what can happen is when a part of the company, even just a couple people, are doing this crap, and then it's like okay, then it does become part of the culture. Because you're like, well, I just pretty much want to get my work done and make awesome games. But part of this company is people being stupid. And it's like, if that is just let ride, even though it makes like no sense and it's like uncomfortable and upsetting, and bad stuff happens, if part of the culture is to just let it ride and say, I guess that's just how things are done around here, then that is definitely still a problem, right? And that has to go. So, once again, it kind of sucks that like it has to come to this point of like a lawsuit with like years of information compiled in order for something to change. But it's good that that kind of stuff is compiled so that we can acknowledge it, both for the victims and for the betterment of our community. Because like Blizzard doing things better is important to me as someone who's like a fan of Blizzard games, for sure. But it's more important to me that just something in the world where, you know, women are being mistreated, it just does not happen, right? It's not limited to, I just want Blizzard, the company, to do better for Blizzard. And it's not just like, we as gamers have to do better in the gaming community. It's like, this shit just can't happen in general. But the fact that it kind of hits home in a company whose games I love and have loved and have built a lot of my content creation career out of, and the fact that it's happening in the gaming community, which is a community that I interact with daily and feel like I'm part of, like that's like where it kind of hits home more. But it just can't happen at all, you know what I mean? But because it is sort of in our community, it gives us a chance to sort of respond to it in a way that's like, yeah, this can't happen anymore. Not cool with it. And I don't know if me talking about it on stream is enough. I don't know if it's a situation where like I need to be like not playing Blizzard games. That's not my initial feeling on it, but that could change. But it's something that I'm gonna have to continue to think about. But yeah, but my initial thoughts on the situation are what I've been talking about. It's just like, this can't happen, man. Can't have it. It's just my horde worry, yeah. Yeah. For the things that I've read, the people that were being called out for their behavior are already not with Activision Blizzard anymore. Hopefully it's already changed for the better. Yeah, I think that, like, the lawsuit came out yesterday. Or at least it hit social media yesterday, right? And I think we're gonna probably learn a lot about it. But I hope so. I hope that people who are, you know, doing that kind of crap aren't with the company anymore. But we'll see. It's not a Blizzard problem, it's with gaming culture. Right, and it's not even just with gaming culture, it's with all culture. Right, there are probably some cultures where women are, like, absolutely, like, recognized as, you know, powerful leaders, voices that need to be heard, and whatnot. But, like, the culture that I interact in is still very sexist, right? And it's not necessarily always, like, super obvious either. So situations like this sort of bring it to light and sort of help shift our perspective. So that is important that we do that. But yeah, it's not that's what I'm saying, is it's not just Blizzard. It's not just gaming companies. It's not just the gaming community. It's our society in general is still very sexist and racist, and it's a situation that not everybody is out there sexually harassing people or committing hate crimes. But it's like our perspectives always can be changed to be broadened and more sympathetic towards people who are struggling in our community. And it's important to do that. Like, if you want to be a good person, you will be re-examining your beliefs often, constantly, to make sure that you are being the kind of person that you want to be in the world. And that process is often uncomfortable, and it often is going to take a little bit of work to change how you think and how you interact. But that's important to do that, to just to be a good person, because we got to be changing over time for sure. And this is one of those things where, yeah, it's hitting home, right? Blizzard Games are, you know, the company that we look up to and love, is like, it even happens in there, right? And it happens bad there, so you gotta take it seriously, man. And that's what we're gonna try to do, right? Yep. Same with that Blizzard release and response really bothers me. Me and Jenny did not like that. That is not what I thought was gonna happen. Are some of those creeps at Blizz, are they all out? So that what let me scroll up. What Pandas said, oh no, was it Pandas? No, what Anxie said is that a lot of people aren't there anymore, which is good. But we'll have to find out. Yeah. I really didn't like that response, right? The response, you know, it looked familiar, right? It's like the lawyer response, right? Looked familiar. We've seen that recently with members of our community who were, you know, had some pretty serious claims levied against them and had evidence to support it. They released the lawyer response and then just hope it goes away. And sometimes it does, but that's not what I wanted to see. Like, just, I don't think there was like no acknowledgement, right? Just like, nope, those claims are unfounded, whatever else, right? So, I don't know. Like I said, I think that my, what's important to me and what I am doing is listening to the people who are sharing their stories, man, and believing them, you know, and then going from there. So I'm trying to have a sympathetic response of, okay, like the risk of like a company being like, okay, you know what, we were mad at you, our bad, you know, is I think worth taking versus individuals who have been abused not receiving the sympathy that they need and the support they need and the encouragement to share their stories. Like, I feel like that is a risk worth taking. Like, taking care of individual people is a risk worth taking, right? If Blizzard's like, these allegations are unfounded and it's just being a bunch of bureaucrats who are you know, they're accountable to nobody, they can do whatever they want. It's like, okay, Blizz, maybe we'll keep that on hold. If that's the case, our bad. But these women really need support in sharing their stories so that the truth can come to light, right? So, I don't know. I didn't love that response, but yeah. Yep. It's a difficult response. It is, right? It is. I mean, that's. Like I said, it sounds very, very reminiscent of it's we've seen it before. It's the lawyer response. So. I understand it, but it's not, you know, it's not what I expected. I guess maybe I should have though, right? Could be wrong. Me too. I mean, I could be. I'm just waking up too, man. Exactly, G4Co. That's how it starts, man. Is like if somebody makes kind of like a stupid joke, sort of rooted in some kind of sexism. Yeah, instead of just kind of like laughing it off, you say, "Bro, that's not cool. Not cool." Was the response? Yeah, it was. Like I said, I mean, we've seen it before. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but that's okay. I don't need to dig immediately into it, but I don't know. Well. Yeah, once again, it's like I feel like the one of the internal struggles that I have is I don't want to be, I don't know. I feel like if you don't say it though, you're letting it happen. It sounds like what happened with Swifty, right? He released the lawyer statement and then it just went away, right? And I don't know if that's the right way to go. But This reminds me very much of that situation where it's somebody that you know and love and respect and look up to, and then it's like, well, crap, this hurts. So. Same thing with my management company that I was working with before. It's like, really like, you know, look up to these people, and then this happens, and it's like, well, crap, we gotta really take another look at what's going on here, man. So. Yeah. But yep. Legal system exists for a reason, sure, but the legal system also comes with its fair share of unfairness. Like, how is one individual supposed to compete with a giant corporation in a legal battle, right? When it's just a money thing. How do you compete with that, right? So that has its unfairness too. So I think that's one of the things that's important, is that, like, we support other individuals who are willing to come talk about this stuff, right? They're willing to share their experience. It's important for us to do that, even if it's like really uncomfortable and, like, you know, hurts us to be like, oh my gosh, this is like so upsetting. Like, people that I know and trust are actually doing this really bad stuff to people. It's just almost unimaginable, but it's like, it's how it is, right? Let's talk about here. There have been some pretty serious. Well, there's a lawsuit levied against Blizzard for unfair business practices towards women and sexual harassment towards women. So the sexual harassment is like the big thing, but there's also just unfair business practices. Just women not being able to succeed and have opportunities to succeed, despite, you know, having earned them, basically, right? But yeah, the sexual harassment stuff is like the super, like, make your skin crawl stuff. But, you know, it's also very important that out of this, not only the culture changes in terms of not letting this kind of creepy stuff happen, but also it's like the culture needs to change to let women, you know, shine. Let them do what they do. Let these awesome individuals kick butt at their job, and to be able to advance within the company so they can keep kicking butt and let their talents shine, let their passion and their drive shine like anybody else, right? Or specifically like men who have those opportunities, right? And not to have those opportunities given or taken away based on your gender, right? Doesn't happen with other Southern California countries too, right? So once again, it's not limited to gaming companies or Southern California companies, right? But yes, the gaming culture is one of those cultures that needs to change. But yeah, I don't think it's limited to gaming or Southern California or anything else. It's just those are situations where that kind of behavior exists, and moments like this afford us a chance to say, yep, it's here. This is a serious thing. This isn't just someone sharing their story, which needs to be a big moment, by the way. But people, unfortunately, can overlook sometimes one person sharing their experience. But in this situation, like, it's a lawsuit that's been researched forever, so if people want to say, who knows, you know? It's like, well, actually,
Speak your piece.
That's another thing that is important, is actually listening to people when they share their stories. Supporting them, right?
You need something.
That's another thing we got to work on. So, in moments like this, we have an opportunity to say, how do we want to be? Do we want to listen to these people's experience? Take them seriously? If so, then we got to do it right now, you know? So, that's how it is. Lunchbox, I'm in like kind of a weird situation where I don't want to put him on blast because I don't want drama to be the focus, but I'll let you look it up. He had some very serious claims levied against him as well about his behavior and misconduct, so.
Welcome to the archive.
And then his response was written by a lawyer, and then it just proceeded to ignore it, so.
Restore the archive.
It just looked a little bit familiar, but yeah. like I said, I don't want to be someone who lets this stuff ride and just lets it go and doesn't talk about it, because that's not who I want to be. But at the same time, I don't know if I really want to, like, dig into his situation, because he's somebody who I, you know, looked up to and respected, considered a friend, you know. So it's, like, really upsetting to me too. But I don't, at the same time, I don't want to just, like, let it slide. You know what I mean? But yeah, and it also, those were like some of the big ones for me, is like personally that like hit home for me is his situation, the situation with my management company that I was with before, the CEO's misconduct, right? And now Blizzard, like these things really hit home for me. And I think that I probably have my fair share of prejudices that I'm, you know, not fully aware of, that I can continue to work on, that I want to continue to work on. But I also think that I'm a pretty good dude. And I try to surround myself and have myself represent and be represented by people and companies and communities that are doing the right thing. So when something like this happens, it is really upsetting to me, because this is not like what I want to be around. This is not, I really cannot like abide by this kind of stuff going on anywhere around me, right? So, like, it is super upsetting.
Needs to be at least 2 centuries old.
Because I want to stand up for people, and I want to stand up for what's right. So we talk about it. We'll keep trying, man. Keep trying to be a good person, do the right thing. And once again, let me reiterate, part of being a good person, doing the right thing, is constantly re-examining your beliefs and your actions to make sure that you are in line with who you want to be and what you think is right. And what you think is right and who you want to be can change over time. Right? Like, if you're the kind of person who makes, like, sexist jokes and you're like, it's not a big deal, I'm just joking, it would be really good for you to examine that behavior and say, how important is making these jokes to you for your identity? If it is deeply rooted in your identity, then you need to take a good look at yourself and figure out that's who you want to be. If it's not deeply rooted in your identity, and you could just as easily not make those jokes and be part of the solution rather than the problem, then maybe you should do that too, right? Like, these are, it's because it's not as easy as being like, I don't sexually harass people, I guess my behavior is cool, I guess I'm good. Like, it's not really like that, right? You gotta do a little better than that, I think, right? Cascade, thanks so much for the 41 months, man. Big flex for you. And Captain Jack, thanks for the 3 full years, dude. Appreciate it as well, man. Thank you. So announcement recently, well, the information came to light recently, but it's been going on for a long time. Thanks, Cascader. I will, man. You guys too. We all gotta do it, man. We all gotta do it. All gotta do it. The problem is hard to fix because creeps size up the place where they do things. If they see badge, they will have. I think there's definitely some truth to that. People who do this shit are absolute fucking cowards. Absolute cowards. I completely agree. They will look for opportunities to prey on people in situations where they can think they can get away with it. So we have to change the culture where it's unacceptable for people to behave that way. They have to know that if they do something like this, that women or whoever are the victims of it will be able to immediately speak out. If not be protected in that moment to prevent it from happening in the first place, which is better, but they will be able to immediately speak out, immediately be taken seriously, and the person who did it will immediately be fucking locked up in jail. Like, that's the culture that needs to exist. So that way, when somebody's thinking, this person looks a little bit vulnerable, maybe I have an opportunity here, that they know that, like, if I do this, I'm going to jail 100%. Right? Or I'm going to lose my job 100%. That's what needs to happen. So that they don't even have that little opportunity, that little inkling that they think they can get away with it. But the other thing is yeah, you be the light so that the darkness has nowhere to exist. Be the light everywhere you are so that darkness has nowhere to exist. Right? It's because, yeah, you're right, Will, is that this kind of people won't do this kind of stuff if you're a good person and you're around. Hopefully that's the goal, right? You're sticking up for people, right? Yep. Yeah, and sure, we talk about this from time to time too. False accusation needs to be dealt with, right? So the more that you encourage people to share their stories, the more truth that can come out, the more information that can be shared, the better we're going to get to the truth. So if you're concerned about some sort of false accusations, then your objective should be to get people to share as much of their experience as possible, right? That should be your objective. If you are interested in the truth, then you should have as much information about the situation being shared as possible. That's the best thing that can happen. And in order for the most information to be shared possible, you need to create a situation where people feel comfortable sharing their stories, right? So they're not in a situation where they feel like they're not going to be believed, right? Because if you feel like you're not going to be believed, then sometimes I can imagine that making someone not want to share their experience, right? Darkness seems to prevail. I disagree. I think that darkness can exist, but I don't think that it will prevail. No. Yeah. Right, Vel. You just got to get as much information as possible, right? So if you're concerned about false accusations, then your interest should be to make it so that it's a culture where victims can share their story and be, have people be sympathetic towards them rather than being like, critical or like disbelieving, right? And I understand that the one of the things people say is innocent until proven guilty. Sure. In court, sure. But in the meantime, if somebody shares their story, be sympathetic towards that. And the more information that comes out, the better we'll be able to tell what exactly is going on here and how to be better. But if your concern is that false accusations are being made, then the more information that comes out, the more clearly we'll be able to tell if that's a real thing or not. But in the meanwhile, listen, believe, and support people, right? That's the important part, and that does represent a bit of a shift too, I think, right? I think so. Here, my court stuff info comes out. So what we're talking about specifically is the lawsuit against Blizzard about sexual harassment and unfair like working conditions for women. But this is not a new thing. Like we could talk about this every day and it would be pertinent, right? We could talk about sexism and racism and bigotry every day and it would be pertinent. It would be appropriate for the situation that we're in. It's just, what's happening right now in particular is that there has been a culture at Blizzard of mistreatment of women for a while, and a lawsuit has been compiled with a lot of those, I don't know a lot of them, but some of those stories, which is a fair amount of stories. Whether it accounts for a large percentage of the amount of mistreatment that took place, who knows? And that's sort of being brought to the public eye now. So we're talking about it. Right? Yeah, what's my big water jug? It's right there. I'm about to have a little sip right now, as a matter of fact. So, yeah. I agree, unsure. I agree. But the risk, I think, is... You can listen to someone and lend sympathy and believe without immediately attacking the other person, right? I see the issue and I can see where that's tough to do, but I think that can happen, right? I think that can happen. Yeah, people are really piling on Blizz right now, but I feel like this is going to represent an opportunity for Blizzard to, as a company, which I still believe in, to be better and do better. Both as like their social working culture, but also as like a game company doing what they do, which is make games, right? So you can look up the thing, Mega Mason. I think it's probably, it goes pretty high up, right? It goes pretty high up. I mean, Jaza, if somebody wants to bring something like that, a personal stuff to enjoy in their private, in their private quarters on a business trip, they can do that. But if they're like flaunting around, that's just really freaking weird, right? So I don't know. My girlfriend just did a few job interviews for Activision. I have to let her know about this. Yep, for sure. But the thing is, we need more people, more awesome, creative, people working in the business, but so I don't know if your girlfriend doesn't necessarily shy away from the job, but definitely needs to be aware of it for sure. But hopefully, like I said, hopefully Blizzard and Riot and other companies in the gaming realm who are paying attention to this and might want to change their culture as well will be a better place for women, particularly, but everybody to work, right? So there can be good that comes of this, and it has to, right? Can you delete your artifact weapons? Yeah, we'll be talking about this a lot today. We'll be talking about it a lot. But yeah. 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 I feel you, Scoodle. But I don't want to make it a numbers thing, Scoodle. I don't want to make it a numbers thing. But I have a suspicion that the amount of people who have suffered abuse and whose stories have never been heard probably far outweighs the amount of people who have had false claims levied against them and it has destroyed their life, right? So it's just a situation where you kind of have to side with sympathy and belief, right? In my opinion, right? Would this like ever make me quit WoW? My feeling on it right now, just with a quick analysis, is no. I don't think I'm going to quit WoW because of this. Because I know a lot of people who work on WoW, and they're awesome, creative, wonderful people. And I don't think that the right move for me is just to quit playing WoW because of this. But it's something to consider, for sure. Something to think about. How do I, as a gamer and as a content creator, want to change my behavior in light of this situation? What is the best move for me to support the people who have gone through this and show my support for women in the gaming realm and women in the world in general? Is that the right move to not play Blizzard games? And I'm not sure that's the case. Right now, I'm logged into WoW, playing WoW, doing my thing, because this is what I do, this is what I enjoy. But that's something that I need to sort of consider, yes. Like I said, we all need to sort of consider our feelings, our thoughts, our behaviors, and make sure that it's in line with who we want to be and how we want to be, and that's what I'll be doing. No World's great, though. Yep, it's fun. It's very saddening, yeah. Very saddening, yeah. Yep. Yep. Sure thing, Cloud. Yep. I just think you guys don't have to be on the same page as me as this, but my position right now is, if somebody's sharing their story, be sympathetic, listen to them, encourage them to share, rather than immediately hit them with the false accusation sort of like skepticism. Because, like I said earlier, the best thing you can do in order to determine whether an accusation is founded or not is to get more information. Have that person be encouraged to share as much about their experience as possible, both to, you know, let them get their situation out there to the world to hear, to provide support in the event of trauma, but also is if it wasn't a real thing and they're just completely making this stuff up, then that will be shown as well by them continuing to talk about it, right? So being skeptical immediately is actually against your goal of having the truth come out. But you're skeptical of everything, sure, but you can have so this is you can have your skeptical agenda, but your actions of demonstrating your skepticism are against your goal, right? So if you are a skeptic and you are skeptical of all these claims as soon as you hear them, the best thing you can do to accomplish your goal of skepticism is to be sympathetic and to be, you know, encouraging of more information to be shared, right? You understand what I'm saying? You don't have to immediately just and you can also really truly believe what somebody's story is without like immediately trying to burn down the other person, which is hard. I feel like I'm trying to figure out how that works personally, because that's something that I want to do. I want to believe and encourage people to speak out on their story and to lend them support as much as I can, but at the same time not immediately vilify the other person, and I got to figure out how to do that myself. Because I'm not 100% sure how that works, right? But that's something I think is important. Because I do understand that you don't want to just burn somebody to the ground at the first note of some kind of claims levied against them, right? But how do you do that, right? I think the priority number one is to be sympathetic and encouraging and believing of people who are sharing their stories, right? So, because that's number one. That is how the truth comes out, and that's how we get better. I think. At least that's where I'm at right now. But I'm just a dude, so that I don't have some kind of expertise, and you don't have to necessarily do what I'm doing. I'm just a person trying to figure out what's the best to do in the world, right? So that's kind of where I'm at, right? But yeah, like what Cascader is saying is that this is not just one person speaking out. This isn't something that happened over the weekend, and now we're talking about it. This is like a body of evidence, right? So in this particular situation, but I think we're talking a little bit more generally when we're talking about believing victims, right? Yeah. And what I'm saying, Critics, is in order to hear both sides and find the truth, you need to encourage people who are victims of this kind of stuff to be able to speak about it and to believe them and to be sympathetic towards them, not be, okay, so how did this really happen? What are your real motives here? Why are you talking about this now? Like being like, you know, that because I feel like greeting that with like resistance and overt skepticism is not helpful for the goal, right? So just keep that in mind. Because this is something that comes up a lot. People are talking about this kind of stuff a lot, and that's just one of those things that I want to mention, is that the sort of innocent proven until guilty. What about the false allegations? Like, what are the other motives here? Like, those are fine things to consider for sure, but if you actually want to get down to the truth, talking about it that way is not helpful.
This is also a 2-year investigation.
Right, that's what Cascader was just saying. It's not like a new thing. Yeah.
So we need to be mindful of that. And
Yeah.
there are bad people in that company, for sure, and they do need to be dealt with. But what you're doing is you're supporting the people that we know
Right.
that are good.
Right. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Listen and help person bring the issue, but at the same time, the accused should never have their rights, or should have their rights. Oh yeah. Right. People aren't usually being thrown in jail just because of claims, right? But by the same token, waiting until the legal system handles the situation to determine, like, whether or not you should take somebody seriously, I think is also a mistake, right? Because like we were saying earlier, the legal system also has some serious unfairness to it as well, right? Like, one woman speaking about her situation is not likely going to have the same kind of power in court as, like, a gigantic corporation, right? So just keep that in mind. Or even one woman speaking about her situation is unlikely to win in court against somebody with more money than her sometimes, right? That's just simple as that. A more powerful, wealthy individual will be able to exert a lot of pressure on somebody just in court fees, just the threat of court fees, and that can make a problem go away just alone. So just keep that in mind. But these are important things for us to consider. All these things are important for us to consider just to help us reshape our understanding of how our society is working and how to get better. So let me hop up real quick, make some oatmeal, and we'll keep working, keep trying to get some stuff done in WoW this morning. But it's fine that we're talking about this kind of stuff. I think that we got a little community here, but hopefully we can be a small place where we can do the right thing and we can work on getting better together. So that's the goal. All right, but I'll be right back. Okay.